to the Xposure 365 YouTube channel where we have some exclusives coming out of Tribeca Film Festival. And today I am here with the beautiful Mara Tomkovich, and she is a brilliant filmmaker with a true story telling us about the uprising in Belarus and subsequent consequences of sharing live what the news was and what was going on at the time during the protesting and the uprising. And it's called Under the Gray Sky. So, welcome.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I have so many questions because your film really moved me. And it moved me because it showed me a different side of when women have a mind of their own and they are focused on a goal, the determination that it takes to tell the story the way you want to tell the story. And for me, I was taken aback because I remember the uprising and everything in Belarus, but I don't think I consider, we all were on Twitter, so I don't think we really consider when it's happening in real time, the people and the sacrifices they make to tell the story of what's going on against government, sanctions or what have you. So can you tell me about how you got the idea or what made you want to make this film?
Well, I'm Belarusian. I live in Poland for 18 years now, but still I remain very connected to the country I come from. I was born in a family of independent journalists. I used to be an independent journalist myself, working for Belarus from Poland through the media that I'm broadcasting from abroad. Actually, for the same TV that the inspiration for the female protagonist works in the film. So it was a very close to home, personal kind of story. And of course, what happened in 2020 was a moment that could not leave anyone indifferent, anyone in any way frightened or Belarus. And although I went through several, protests against the Lukashenko regime as a participant, as a journalist in my past, this one was the biggest one. And also was the one that has been put down in the most cruel way. And you are observing this, and this kind of helplessness you feel when you can't actually do anything and you're just watching the world, fall apart. So that was the sort of need to make it into a movie. And this particular story the editor who is organizing the way they are delivering the information, that was a challenge itself during that time. But this editor, he's actually my husband, and that's the real husband of the film. And I saved some money on the actor.
Yes, you did. That was great casting. And it was true. And his performance was beautiful, and it really moved me.
No, I mean the editor, this teeny tiny small part, not the main lead, not the main lead. So the one who was preparing the transmissions. Yes. And obviously, I mean that was happening very close to me. Though when the girls got arrested, and he told me that they got tracked down by a drone, and then the wrong door was broken down. I was like, that sounds like an American action film. In a very, cruel and absurd way, because it's actually happening to the real people. And so this is how the first idea to the short film actually was born. And then there was a short film which was 15 minutes long, and it focused on the situation in the apartment. And then the real situation also was developing, and I got to thinking that that can be a feature, a very different feature, which deals with the aftermath of the decisions which were made during the protest. You're in this very high up state, and all the Belarus was in this very, high up state, very hopeful, very, powerful in the moment, and then you see just how it's getting pressed down and how it is getting destroyed. And their story was actually, the first one which sort of symbolized the switch in the paradigm in Belarus. At the beginning of the protest, journalists were a target, but in a different way. They were arrested. They spent several days under arrest. Then they were fined. maybe they will go for administrative arrest for several days. But this case was the one which was made, the public demonstration of force from the side of the regime. And then, what was happening with it was sort of, symptomatic of what's going to be happened to other political prisoners, and that's how it was actually.
Yes. So I'm glad you brought up the drone, because that moment in the film, my heart almost fell out of my chest, because you mentioned that they went into an apartment above the apartment where Lino actually was, and the fear and the panic on their faces, it was so, I don't know how to put into words how fearful that made me. So I can only imagine being in that situation, because when I heard the drone fan, and then I looked and I saw like she told everybody to get down, and and what have you. And so I think my question is that how did you go about this process as far as capturing the footage of what was happening in real time? How did that come about?
Well, I knew that I do not want to make film about the protest, about the revolution, the uprising, politics. I want to make a film about the human beings,
Right.
who are in this situation and who are also making several decisions. So that is why we remain very close to the characters all the time. We do not go into the spectacular action scenes outside, and actually all the protest that is shown in the film, it's a documentary footage which we got from the Belsen TV. The footage you can see outside the window.
Right.
That is this very protest, this very real situation that was filmed by the girls during the transmission they got arrested for. So I think that was the most important for me. Not just trying to portray the situation, but trying to get into the heads of the characters and trying to get the audience to relate to a very human experience that they have during the situation, and to make the film relatable, also for those who know nothing about Belarus and who don't care as much about the politics or the situation there. That was the main approach. And this particular scene, we also wanted to do it to shoot the fiction part documentary style. So we did not do classical coverage, close-ups and stuff.
Right.
It's just moving camera with a very long shots, which got edited obviously afterwards. But I was very particular about who is the center of attention at each part of the scene in the apartment, and how the camera follows this center of the attention throughout the situation which is happening, to build up this real-time involved vibe that we're so familiar with these cuts and these storytelling tools that somehow when you intercut between the perspectives, it's also it also tells you a little bit that the reactions have been chosen. So I tried to avoid that documentary stuff.
Okay. So tell the audience, if you don't mind, what Under the Gray Sky is about and why it was important to tell this story now.
Well, it's a story about a couple, both journalists, who are trying to survive in the aftermath of the protest in Belarus in 2020, and they have to face very tough decisions. They have to consider whether they stay in the country and try to fight or leave, and whether they give in to the impression of the regime, which is getting stronger and stronger every minute of the film, or they try to fight it. If they go into fighting, what they actually have to oppose the system, which is so much stronger than they are, at least it seems so. So it's about, well, for me it was about looking for this particular part which can give us hope, what is it in us, in humans, in my characters, and in the real people who inspire the characters, that just did not let them give into the Russian, which seems so much bigger than they are.
Right, right. Because there was a scene where Lena's husband decides that he wants to show the footage of what the aftermath of the apartment being, you know, in shambles and turned upside down. And that moment, and there was another moment where he broke down that really, really stuck with me. Because I can only imagine it's hard, you know, it's hard watching and knowing that real people are involved in sacrificing their lives, their freedom, in making the film. And she asked him the question, well, why didn't you go ahead and leave? Because they had the discussion, maybe you should leave and I'll stay, and he refused to leave her. And I just thought that was such a testimony of love and devotion that he decided that he wanted to stay, and he was in it for the, forever, and he was really in it for good. So there was kind of, for me, it was important, and it was a good part of the film to highlight or to show us the love between the two. So can you talk about that a little bit and why you focused on that part of it? Because it was a lot of the intimacy of the relationship between husband and wife. There were some disagreements about, you know, how to move and what to do. So can you talk to me about that a little bit in detail about why you wanted to specifically highlight those challenges that, you know, the relationship took?
Well, you know, although it's very unique stories, somehow the choices they have to make are very common among Belarusians today. A lot of families have had the discussion whether we stay or whether we leave, and you know, so many people are in the situation like that, that those conversations actually, you know, ring a bell for a lot of people, in Belarus. But you know, as I've mentioned, this is not a film about politics. It's a film about people, and in a way, it's a film about love. It's not a romantic comedy, obviously.
Right.
But you know, that is a film. I'm very glad you said it. That's the testimony of devotion. What he does for her. Why did he not leave? And actually, I asked the real person, the real inspiration about that. And I was like, why didn't you leave? You understand that now you're also sort of a hostage
and a target.
You know, and a target.
Right.
And he was like, yeah. Actually, the very answer he gave me is in the film. He said that, you know, I stayed to save our marriage, because if I leave, I'd have such a different experience in those years when we can finally reconnect, that I'm not sure we'll be able, you know, to preserve the relationship with such a different experience of those years. And that moved me deeply. That moved me, and I saw that it's very important to find a way to understand the choice, which is not an obvious one.
Right.
But when you know, like, when you give it a chance, when you try to really understand why, it's not, you know, it's not an irrational choice.
Right.
It's just a question of your priorities. It's a question of what do you want to achieve with this choice.
Right.
And for him, having this common experience with his wife, even if that experience is a bad one, meant more than to have, you know, his own freedom saved by leaving her behind.
Right. And so there comes towards the end of the film a decision that needs to be made in order to, I don't know if it's to receive a lesser charge or a lesser time, as far as the sentencing was concerned, because she lost her legal representation through the course of the film and everything. So can you talk to me about the scene of her making the decision, you know, after the visit? Because she asked how did you get this visit? There was a visit that came up that he was allowed to have. And there was a discussion on how to move forward. Can you talk to me about that a little bit, as far as actually like showing and encompassing the heaviness of making the decision on whether you want to comply, I guess, or whether you want to go against your own beliefs in order to, you know, to have a better future ahead, so to speak.
Well, it was crucial to make this discussion as, you know, as anti-heroic as you can make, as human as you can make, because, you know, when we imagine people making those kind of decisions, like somehow we have this very, you know, strong, full of power, full of something, imagination that people are, yeah, I will find with whatever I have. But actually, well, for her, this story, this film is sort of a coming-of-age film. The first decision she makes at the beginning of the film, she makes completely unaware of the full price she'll have to pay for it. And then here we are, when she is aware of the price, and she actually, she hears all the arguments, and like that's something inexplainable. Why can't you just do it? So I try to make it, very, very human, and to actually show that it's not a blind heroism. It's not, the thing that she doesn't care or understand, or is just, made of steel and is unbreakable. It's not about that. She's a very, very real human being who feels all the pain, and it's just the issue that, she is at this point, that there is no way, to make a good choice. And then she asks the question, okay, we do that, what will come after it? That's not only the decision that we make that will influence the next several years of our lives. That's a decision that we'll make, and it will influence the rest of our lives, and it will also influence who we are and how do we conduct it from this point. It's a decision that a lot of people have to make
In that position.
and a lot of people are making a different decision, and it's very important for me to underline that my film is in no way judgment of a different decision. Absolutely not. And I think I tried to show how painful it is to go either way, and how much understanding I do have actually all those arguments that come from the people, telling that it needs to be done. You can't play by the rules with someone who's just hitting you in the head with a baseball bat. But it also was very important for me to understand and to bring the characters to the decision the real people made.
Okay, and so did you ever reconsider making this film because of your ties to, your personal ties to Belarus? Did you ever reconsider or consider not making it because of your ties to that community, or did it empower you more to tell the story?
Well, making this film came with a certain price and personal limitations. But no, I never regretted it. I never reconsidered it.
You are brave.
No, I'm not. To those people who, had to pay tremendous personal prices in their own life. I mean, it's no, I'm not.
You're brave for telling the story and bringing the story forward here so that we all can learn more about it and see that side of it, because I don't think a lot of us consider that human side of, the people who want to tell the story out into the world and show the world what's really going on. Because again, we're sitting behind computer screens or phones on Twitter. We don't really, we're not on the ground, we're not in the area, we're not watching it as it develops. So I think you are brave for telling the story. So can you give us a little insight into your Tribeca process of bringing this film to Tribeca? What was that process like?
We applied and we got in.
Okay. Not bad at it.
Sometimes that happens, Okay,
and how have you been enjoying the festival so far?
Oh, it's been great. It's been, for me, it's my first feature film, and having it premiering here, I mean, with the audience here, and watching it actually, with a live audience, with people who also, have this energy and feel something or not in the screenings. And I had the second screening actually was at AMC, and my film is very silent, sound-wise it's very minimalistic, and we don't use the music outside of the scene, like the music that characters do not hear. It's just the sound designs, and when we were watching it with the audience at AMC, the New York subway, added the 7-1 dimension to all those, hour sounds, which were like, and then you feel like it goes through you, and I'm like, it's not our sound, that's actually the subway which is working with the film, and somehow it perfectly got it on the moments of silence,
Magic.
right?
Magic.
You know, I was like, yeah, okay, that's the first for me. Actually, I texted my sound lady about that, and you know, next time we need to, you know, to hire a subway also.
Right.
And I feel that the film, you know, resonated with people here. It was a very big unknown for me. How would the audience that actually does not have any connections to this region or to Belarus, how would the audience react to it? Would it move them? And I'm also, you know, this very minimalistic kind of storyteller, and you never know, is it enough or will work?
It works. It's really working for you. Okay, so tell our audience how we can keep up with what you have coming in the
play. I can't share much about it yet. I can only say that it's also going to be a story that is inspired by the true events. I guess my journalistic background will not let me go. And it's also based in Belarus. But it's in no way connected to the protest of 2020. It's a very different story. Still with a strong female protagonist, and I'm very excited about getting into the process of making this film. You know, I feel like it has a lot of power. The real story has a lot of strong power within it. Yeah, and regarding I have the Instagram. You can follow me, guys. You can type Mara Tomkovich, and there will I be. And I have Twitter. That's a very.
I understand.
Yeah, I'm an old lady. I have a Facebook page.
Okay.
More than a Twitter. What's next? I'm very excited about getting the film, you know, out there in its journey. It's been a world premiere here, so now we're looking for a European home for the film, and obviously the Polish premiere. The film is produced in Poland. It's a fully Polish production, so the Polish premiere will be also a next big step. I'm very excited about the journey that has begun here in Tribeca.
Yes. Okay, so my last question is, what advice would you give to younger filmmakers who are on the journey of their creative process and, you know, and just going through the ups and downs, or just the journey in general to make feature films and to have a premiere at Tribeca as a world premiere? What advice would you give to younger filmmakers?
If you can do anything else, like literally if you are good at anything else, please do that. It's going to be a much more rewarding process, and it's going to be easier, I think, yes. But you know, I've been doing it for a long time. I've been in a film since 2012, like if you count the beginning of my first film school. So, and it's a very tough process. What I've learned actually from this film is that you do not need everyone to like you and to work. You just need to find this one person who sort of, you know, has the same vibe and likes the same stuff and will believe in you. It only takes one. It's hard to find the one.
Right.
But you know, it only takes one, and every rejection you get needs to be treated as, of course, as a lesson. You have to learn from it. You have to grow from it. But it also, you know, just a sign that it's not the right one for you yet, and you have to have faith and stubbornness and readiness to work hard to get to the one which is meant for you. You know, to the person who will believe in your film, to the person who will get it done, you know, to the person who will like it, and give it a chance. It's a long process. Don't expect it to happen quickly, and you'll be fine.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time today. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and I really enjoyed your film.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. It really means a lot.
It means so much.
It took everything I had to make this film. In the process, just like, you know, from the technical side of it. So every word of appreciation means really, really a lot.
Yes, I hope you're proud. I hope your family is proud as well, because I know you have those roots. So